it's that as well.
Yes. The male gaze plays a role in it. And, you know, when we talk about the male gaze in this sense, it's like how your body is being perceived by men, you know, whether or not you're sexualizing it or not.
Mm-hmm.
You are often, if you're curvy, you're going to be over sexualized. So
Yep,
that's a good point. That is a very good point, sis.
yes, ma'am.
So the next question I had is when it comes to loyalty, which I thought was such a good question. Really good questions, by the way, that you came up with. When it comes to loyalty, some people may believe that because someone is celibate, they are like celibacy equals loyalty. And I kind of want to just talk about that and get your thoughts on that. So as someone who's celibate, what do you feel about this?
So I don't know this too much because I haven't dated any celibate guys, like celibate or rip. I've definitely dated guys quite recently too, who were like okay with it, like genuinely, like even when I asked the 21 questions was like, yeah, nah, that's cool, like, you know, I'll just be chilling. But none that were celibate from rip. So I don't have a real gauge of it. Me personally, I am a very committed person. When nobody is playing me. I'm a dirtbag if somebody's playing me. But, you know, if I feel secure, if nobody's doing me dirty, I have no problem committing. And because I'm celibate now, I think just me as a person, I'm like, yeah, like I wouldn't even gain anything if I cheated. Like, what would I gain? A conversation? I could go on Clubhouse for that. So of course, like the chances of me being even more loyal is even higher than before. And it was super high before.
Right.
What I will say from the polls, which was so interesting, people who voted no for not dating somebody who was not being interested in dating somebody who's waiting until marriage, a lot of them voted yes for believing that somebody who is celibate would be more loyal. And I'm like, not to say that you can't have opposing views, or maybe you think one and you're just like, I don't really care. Like I'll still, you know, place my bets in the other pool. I was like, that's interesting. Like if you think another group is more likely to be loyal, what are you wanting? I don't know. But overall, I do think people are going to do what they want. And sex is not the only way you can cheat. I think there's emotional cheating. So I think if a person who is celibate, who has successfully explored their self-discipline and they feel really grounded in self-discipline, is far more likely to be loyal because they've worked hard on themselves. And hopefully they've worked hard in building a relationship with someone else so that eventually you can get to the finish line, right? But I don't think
you don't think it's like directly equal.
Yeah, I don't think it's directly I don't think it's directly correlated. But I think your chances are higher.
Right. I agree with that. Honestly, I do. I do agree with that. And, you know, this is our opinion. We don't claim to be experts on this. You know, we are just talking here. We're having an open conversation. But, you know, I do agree with that. I do feel as though most people, if we're talking about what people consider to be cheating, that is most often physically doing things with people. Sure. Yes, there is emotionally cheating, but for some reason, based off of just my 27 years on this earth, emotionally cheating never has seemed to be that perceived to be that detrimental as physically cheating. So I'm
sorry. Okay, keep going.
So it's like if you're not having sex with anyone to begin with, you know, most people are gonna be like, I trust them. They're not doing nothing with me. Who they gonna be doing something with? You know? So I kind of look at it like that. But I kind of wanted to go back to something we talked about before, which was I said that most people voted no for saying that they wouldn't lose interest in someone who was celibate. And I was really shocked by that, Kat.
Me too. I was so shocked because I was like, okay, it was like 63%. 47%, 63%, yes, I would date somebody who was waiting until marriage. 47%, no. That's damn near 50. That's damn near 50-50. But then 90 of you gonna say that you wouldn't lose interest in somebody, so you would date some. Like, I was just like, what? Yeah, so yes,
Yeah,
but no? Or
it
are
wasn't
you
adding
lying?
up to me. You know what I think happens
Yeah.
sometimes with these polls? I think people answer them based off of their idealized versions of themselves sometimes.
You know
You know
what?
what I
That's
mean?
true.
Like, people don't
Mm-hmm.
actually say what they would actually do in that
Mm-hmm.
situation. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry to say, but I don't believe most of y'all that said that.
I'm not even gonna lie. The first time I
Mm-hmm.
took an attachment, the first 2 times
Mm-hmm.
I took an attachment, I took my lying ass. I lied both times. Taking a quiz, like I did it based off of what I thought who I thought my best self was, and what answers I thought my best self would choose, right?
Right.
And I did that like 2 times, and all of the results were like secure, secure, secure. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
but my history doesn't say that. My history does not say
Exactly.
secure. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, you're lying. I'm
Right.
lying. Oh, okay. Let me be very honest. And then even taking an inch past that, let me like go to like my worst self and be like, what is like my craziest, grimiest, worst self?
Yeah.
Like, what is that answer?
Right.
Boom. Yeah.
Because it's like, and it's, I don't want you to be too hard on yourself. It's not that, people are lying. It's just that we have this idealized version of ourselves and what we think we would do and how we think we would react and what we think we would say. But it's not necessarily what we actually do when presented with the situation. Let's be
Woo,
honest.
girl.
Let's be
Girl.
honest.
Very honest.
So I think sometimes I'm always shocked by polls that I put on my Instagram because people are answering from their idealized version of themselves instead of actually who they are and what they would do. Because,
Yeah.
it goes back to social norms, not to go down a
Yeah.
rabbit hole, but nobody wants to be perceived as not, seeming open-minded.
Girl. You know what? And I don't want to go too far down this, but I feel like if we don't have a time cap, let's go. So you had you had you had a poll yesterday that was like, you were asking questions about what we would want to know about the person that we're dating, their sexual history.
Mm-hmm.
There was a question that you asked, and no was the less socially accepted answer in this case. And I knew my answer was no. Bitch, tell me why I skipped it. I went back and answered because I knew that was wrong. I was like, I can't vote on everything else and not skip and not vote on this. But I skipped it at first. But I had to be very real with myself and be like, okay, let me go back and just answer my answer, right? Yeah. And I feel like when you're able to, I don't want this to get too self-helpy, but when you're able to like identify that you do that, it helps so much in life, because there's been situations where I've looked at other people's actions and been so overly critical and haven't been able to extend any grace because I'm like, oh, I wouldn't do that. No, your best self wouldn't do that. Who you are right now would have done that or worse. So I feel like now I'm able to have so much grace. And then I go in difficult situations, like I have an idea of what my best self would do. And then I'm like, okay, let me think about who I really am. God help me. And then it turns out different, right? Rather than me trying to be like, oh, I'm perfect. No, I'm not.
It's not. So. We're not. And it happens to all of us. I don't say that to say that I don't do it, because I know I've done it. But it's just interesting to be the score collector and kind of see it from that end and be like, damn, bitch, but you be doing this shit too. Let me scratch my wig. But yeah, so that was that. I really like that conversation that we had about that little diversion. Was great. So the next thing I wanted to ask was so we asked the question, do you think sex sometimes forms emotional connections that one or both parties may not have wanted or been ready for? With that being said, do you find it harder or that it takes longer for you to get attached to people now?
Girl.
Talk about it.
Woo. Okay. So, people, please. If you have never heard of a soul tie, and I feel like it's a buzzword, so maybe you've heard of it, but you don't really know the layers of it, just go on your own like research dive about soul ties and about like energy transmutation during sex, right?
Mm.
What I also had to realize is some people don't understand energies. Like I